Welcome, welcome all of you. And everybody can hear me clearly. Everything's good. All right. Let me say Happy New Year. I wish you all good health, happy life, and peace to you all. Now, the old year is ended and the new year is beginning, right? So it's before, actually I forgot, we start the teaching, it is important to correct your motivation and generate bodhicitta. I just wanted to remind you that most of you, I'm sure, when we say the opening prayers, that is actually generate bodhicitta. So most of you already correct your motivation, but just in case if somebody forget it, it's very important. So it's time for us to reflect on how things had been through 2020. A lot of people think it was a very bad year because of all of these issues, right? But for a lot of people, it was a great year. People learned many good things from 2020, so it was a good year for them. So you can think, and for me, myself, personally, it was a very good year. I had lots of time for practice. I didn't get sick, very happy. Although when I see other people are suffering, sick and dying, all of that, that's just samsara. I wish people don't go through all of that, but that's just inevitable. So, people perceive things different ways, right? So you see, the problem is not out there. The problem is your perception of the problem, I think, which means how you see it, how you related to it, how you respond to it, and how you react to it, how you handle all of this. So perception is matters every aspect of our lives. So whatever it is, is just, it's already ended, it's already passed, so we have to let go. And you did something good, then dedicate it. Otherwise, just let it go and start to, this is another new year, which is new life. Make sure you understand that. So I wish and I hope it brings lots of happiness, prosperity into this world and into your life. Now, today I'm going to talk about the four dharmas of Gambopa. That's what they call it. So four dharmas of Gambopa is an important set of teachings that were made available to people like us who wanted to practice. That will be the topic for today. But before we start the teaching, usually, it is important to understand uh, the this prayer was written by Gamboba, um, and you may not know, he was one of the holder of Garji lineage. So you should understand a little bit about Gamboba, since we're going to talk about his teachings. His teaching, this prayer has for today we're going to talk about the first line of the four dharmas Gamboba, and next time I will teach about second and then third and so forth. So therefore, usually whenever I teach, I introduce the writer. So I will say a little bit about, talk about a little bit of Gamboba. Gamboba took rebirth in central Tibet, I think over 800, 900, I don't know exactly, something years ago. So at the age of 22, he married, and over time, they had two children, a son and daughter. And then several years after, there was a terrible epidemic disease in that area. And his son died because of that. And then later, his daughter died. Then his wife got ill, and she sick many days, and she was barely able to speak. But finally, she said, I'm not about to die. I have no attachment to our wealth, our property, whatever, everything, but I'm very attached to you. She said that to Gamboba. And Gamboba said, how can I help you about that? And she said that when I'm dead, you're going to marry again and forget me. And he replied, if you die, I will become a monk if that makes you happy. She said, that makes me happy, but I'm not sure about that. And he said, do you want me to swear it before you? She said, yeah, that makes me very happy. And he then called in his uncle to bear witness, and he took the oath to become a monk and devoted his whole life to the Dharma. So after seeing this, his wife sort of grabbed his hand and looked at him, and then she passed away. So that is the kind of like the essence of his life, how, you see, he lost his sort of daughter's son, wife, almost like he's lost his entire family under that circumstances. Because of that, he developed not only his wife, but he developed a genuine sort of renunciation. And his faith and devotion and practice Dharma was very strong. That happened almost like here. Sometimes the students say like, oh, I got sick, the COVID-19, then I lost my job. So this samsara has no essence. I just want only practice. Some people told me that kind of thing, right? Same thing. So you see, my teachers sometimes say, like, if you have a little bit of problem, develop your renunciation. I hope you get really sick or something happen to you. Then you will know, the essence of samsara. Anyway, so you see, your faith and devotion are necessary because they allow your practice to grow and to allow your experience increase. And without the faith, without the devotion, you're not going to practice. you feel like, oh, I have everything, I'm fine, everything's good, that you're just looking just in front of you. You're not uh, thinking deeply enough this samsara. So you're not going to practice because you don't believe that there is any point in it, right? So to practice, you must believe that there is something to be realized. You must believe in the possibility of spiritual growth and in your own sort of potential. As you practice with the devotion, you will experience the truth of the teachings. And that will increase you to further sort of discoveries. So if you have a devotion, then you will practice. And with practice, you will achieve realization. That's the key. So Gambupa was able to practice of Dharma at that point. And he thought, now it's time for me to practice Dharma. After, like all that happened, his family, And one night, Gambupa had a dream about a green yogi dressed all in rags, and he continued to appear even more in his dream. And then he thought, this must be something, not only once, not twice, this continually, this green yogi come to in my dream. So actually that green yogi was Milarepa. And because of when Gambupa heard the name of Milarepa, he's just great confidence and faith that spontaneously arose in him. So all he wanted to do was to go find that green yogi, Milarepa, So that's the thing. There was actually long story of his life and between him and Milarepa, but I'm not going tell you all of that. But this is basically how Gambupa became a student of Milarepa, and he became a great Dharma practitioner. So finally, he met Milarepa, and Gambupa received teachings from Milarepa, and he was one of the great teacher of the Karji lineage of Tibetan Buddhism. So that's the short introduction to Gambupa, because you might want to know a little bit about who he was, right? So you see, in the Karji lineage, Naropa was the student of Telopa, and Marba Lozava, great teacher, was the student of Naropa. And then Marba transmitted those amazing teachings to his student, the great yogi Milarepa. Many of you know Milarepa, right? And then Milarepa passed his oral teachings and all of that to Gambupa. So that's the sort of short kind of Karji lineage, the main teachers of Karji lineage. And then after Gambupa wrote this profound prayer, okay? So now go back to the topic. The prayer of the four dharmas of Gambupa. The Karji teachers say that this prayer brings together the teachings of sutras and tantras in a very profound way of explanation of the path to enlightenment. And this prayer is a commitment to a spiritual journey for, ourselves. And this prayer is inspiration to work toward enlightenment for the sake of all beings. Let's put it that way. So I think it's very good for us to learn this prayer and practice it. I'm reciting this prayer for every day since I was little. I just love this prayer. Maybe you will like too. If not, that's fine. Just learn something. Just don't forget the teachings. When I was Tibet and I received teachings, Buddhist philosophy every day, I recited these teachings, 40 times until I memorized them. So most of you just receive teaching for short time, within 2 hours, 1 hour, then you go back your normal life, you just forget. That's not how you practice. That's not how you learn Buddhism. So make sure you learn something from this, okay? Anyway, now I'm going to talk about the first line of the prayer. The first line of the Dharmas of Gamboba is, grant your blessings so that my mind may be one with the Dharma. Okay, this is how they translate it into English. But in Tibetan, this prayer actually more like bless me so that my mind may go toward Dharma, or grant your blessings so that may my mind go into the Dharma, rather than grant your blessings so that my mind may be one with the Dharma. I'm not so sure. In Tibetan, we say, Lo chusen rover shinji labda source. Lo means mind, okay? Chu means, of course, Dharma. Droa means to go towards, or to go. Droa means to go. And then Chinjilap means blessed, right? So grant your, maybe I will, if you want, I would write here. Where is that? Okay. I'm not sure you can see it not. So it means so it's actually grant your blessings so that may my mind go into the Dharma, which is basically an aspirational prayer that corresponds with the first line of Pardon from the Four Attachment. The Satya Takpa said, remember, if you are attached to this life alone, you are not a Dharma practitioner. Do you remember that? By the way, I think I'm going to teach the pardon from the Four Attachment after we finish this teaching, the Four Dharmas of Gambopa, just to let you know that, okay? Now, when we practice this prayer or teach this prayer, unfortunately, we have to think about the 8 worldly concerns. You may not like to hear that, but this is just a big problem and obstacle for Dharma practitioners, because usually our practice are mixed with the 8 worldly concerns. If that's the case, then we are not really a genuine Dharma practitioner. So do you know what are the 8 worldly concerns? The 8 worldly concerns we can divide into 2 groups, for example. The four we want, but 4 we don't want. The 4 that we want are gain, pleasure, fame, and praise. Nyitpa, deva, nyanpa, totpa. These are we really want very, very much, right? And then the 4 of them we want to avoid are lose, pain, disgrace, and blame. Marnitpa, mabdeva, manhinpa, matpa. Okay, that's we call 4 8 worldly at worldly concerns. So these are really, we don't want this for. So these are what we call worldly concerns, right? Supposedly we, as a Dharma practitioner, should not concern all of these things, but we can't. Because if you investigate yourself deep down inside of us, fundamentally, there's this sort of image of me or I, sometimes we call it self-grasping, self-centeredness, whatever you call it. You see, you believe that there is something inside you which is very permanent and independent. We believe that. And we caught up, like, because of that, then all of these ideas, such as, desire, hope, fear, discrimination, anxiety, conflict, whatever, exploitation, division, all of this, so and so, all of this, because of self-grasping, this, whatever you call it. You see, our consciousness is very, it's like garbage. It's very messy and disorder. So we need to investigate ourselves, okay, and figure out who is this? Who are you? Do you really know who you are? I don't think so. Is there any way that we can go beyond this? Get rid of this image of I or me or all of this you, or can we get rid of all this like completely? Is it possible to eliminate this self-grasping completely? If not, there is no way to get rid of all these so-called negative emotions or whatever. You understand? There is no way to go beyond all of these problems. As long as we have this image, I, me, impermanent, permanent, I, me. So we have to investigate. For example, I want food, I want, I want a clothes, I want a house, I want relationships, and I want all of this. But is it possible to have all of this without attachment? Is it possible to have all of this without these worldly concerns? Is it possible to have all of this without self-grasping? We have to investigate. Each and every one of us need to investigate. Is it possible, all of this? Why don't we investigate all of this rather than completely have a sort of unhealthy mind, unwholesome mind, disorder consciousness, go through this hard life and difficult life and, facing this all kinds of problems? Why don't you figure this out rather than completely rely on your holy guru, so-called like this, his holiness or his eminence, whatever, we are completely relying on them. We don't investigate who we are. Oh, my guru said so. Whatever this holiness, whatever, Holiness, by the way, means, in Tibetan, Chujyar means like king of Dharma. Who is king of Dharma? If there is a king of Dharma, only Buddha Shakyamuni in Tibetan Buddhism, no one else. But whatever, we have so many His Holinesses and Eminences, and who sits on this very sort of expensive and beautiful throne, and then who wears this majestic sort of clothes, and then who gives you this empowerment and says that when you receive this empowerment, you're going to attain enlightenment. Chinese say Hofu, it means like Ho means alive, Fu is Buddha, alive Buddha. All of these things, Turkus and Tibetan, the system of Turkus and this, they called Hofu. We have like thousands of Turkus. Do we have alive, thousands of alive Buddha? And you just believe in them. You see what you're doing? You don't know what you're doing. If you just believe it without investigate, without understand the truth, what value has it? Do you actually know what is enlightenment? I don't know what is enlightenment. I mean, of course, intellectually, I know it. I studied Buddhism so many years. Intellectually, what is enlightenment? I know, but that's not enlightenment. Intellectually is another thought, another this garbage. That's not enlightenment. So I don't know what is enlightenment. These people say like, oh, you receive this enlightenment, this secret teaching, you reach enlightenment. You don't have to take responsibility, anything. You just listen to me, whatever I say. You just believe it. So ignorant. Me, like, for example, I'm actually not seeking attain enlightenment. I just want to know how to clean this messy and disorder and this garbage of this consciousness or my unwholesome mind. That's only I can do. Not my Buddha, not my teachers, nothing. That's entirely my responsibility. I just want to investigate, is it possible to live in this samsara without worries? Is it possible to live in this samsara, this impure samsara, impure world, without fear, without anxiety? All of that, I want to know that. Not about enlightenment. Is it possible to have a holy mind, so-called, pure mind? Is it possible you have a pure mind through practice? Is it possible? That's all I want. What do you want? By the way, I'm not attacking these holy girls though, or this holy, what do you call it? Holiness and eminence and whatever. But since we're talking about eight worldly concerns, personally, I think it will be very difficult if someone has that kind of position, whether spiritual leader or political leader, whatever. It is difficult someone has that kind of high position without it worldly concerns. I mean, it's possible, but very difficult. That's what we're talking, it worldly concern. If your life mixed with it worldly concerns, you called your Dharma practitioner, whatever, I am Vajrayana practitioner, I am Mahayana. You are not genuine practitioner. You have to know that. The great master Longchenpa said that whoever is preoccupied by these worldly concerns is like a very sick person in the bed. No matter how often she or he changes the position, it's very difficult to find comfort because fundamentally you're sick. It's not your bad problem. Your bad is very comfortable, but you just don't find the comfort because you're fundamentally sick. So it doesn't matter. You have like this holiness, or I mean, it doesn't matter if you completely rely on them and you don't take responsibility yourself. Doesn't matter. His holiness, or doesn't matter. It doesn't help you. So you need to take responsibility. You need to investigate who you are. What kind of life do you want? Is it possible? The thing is, we are like fundamentally, everybody is just like go through these problems, worries and anxiety and suffering and angry and all of this. It doesn't matter who you are, what kind of you know Asian, Americans, whatever. It doesn't matter. Fundamentally, we human beings share this common thing. We all go through this. So that's the bottom line. You have to investigate, is it possible to live in this samsara without worries? That's you have to find out. As long as our minds are captivated by these things, then it is very difficult not to engage in these eight worldly concerns. So as a Dharma practitioner, I can tell you this, it is very important to understand, distinguish between what is a Dharma practitioner and what is not. As long as your mind mixes with these eight worldly concerns, you're not a real Dharma practitioner. Okay? That's what Longchenpa tried to say. So usually we are trying to free our minds all these problems, right? Through practice. But this takes time. Takes time. So what do you think? What should we do until then? I think we should try to have less attachment, have genuine love. Is that possible? I'm not sure. You figure that out. We always say, I love you, right? Everybody say, I love you. But I'm not sure that is really love or that is attachment. You say, when you say, I love you, that means like this person, whatever, gives you something. Is that we call love or attachment? You have to figure that out. If that is attachment, then obviously we don't want attachment because attachment makes suffer for sure. We don't want suffering. That's the bottom line. We don't want suffering. So what is the cause of suffering? Attachment. Logically and obviously, attachment makes us suffer. Love doesn't make us suffer. So we have to understand these things. We have to think, we have to investigate. So important. Whatever, like, religion, whatever spirituality, whatever is, if without understand the truth, without understand the value, it's another samsara. Religion is another samsara. You are, for example, bitten by like white dog or black dog, it doesn't matter. You get hurt. White and black is just the color. white dog bite you or black dog bite you, you doesn't matter, you get hurt. Same thing. Spiritual or worldly or whatever. These are, if you don't understand the essence, that's just the religion is another huge samsara. That's what we do. You know, the monks and nuns supposedly like run away from samsara, but then they create this beautiful nunneries and, you know, monasteries. That's another samsara. They have lots of problem there. So these days we just don't understand who we are, how we handle these problems properly. Buddha, during the Buddha Shakyamuni, he just go different place and then he taught there few people and then he left in different, like that. They never called Buddha Shakyamuni His Holiness. Holiness Buddha Shakyamuni. Yeah, have you heard that? Holiness Buddha Shakyamuni sit on a rock, you know, when he teach, not like this thousands of dollars, you know, beautiful, this throne, and you sit on. He never did that. Poor guy, he didn't have that chance, and he just sit on the rock, or sometimes he sit on the grass, and then he taught, and then he left. That's all. He has no food every day. He go somebody and, you know, begging, and he has just like bowl like this. Please, can you give me today lunch? We can't do that. That is gone, completely gone, that tradition. Instead of like we just plan like in the future, you know, and save future. That brings us lots of worry. As long as you are thinking about future, you never let go your worry. So anyway, now go back to the prayer. Bless me so that my mind go towards Dharma or whatever. The Buddha said that there are two obstacles that your mind not go towards Dharma. One obstacle, one is people who are not interested in this path at all, right? And then the other obstacle is people who are taking this path but cannot reach to the end, some reason, then they give up. So this happens a lot. So you start to practice, but some reason you're not successful with your practice, then you give up. Since we're talking about this prayer, and in order to our minds go into the Dharma, it is necessary to abandon the cause of our minds not go towards Dharma. The causes that make us unable to practice Dharma, I mean, there are a lot, right? There are a lot of causes like doubt, hesitation, ignorance, emotion, etc., etc. All this disturbance, you know, keep us from connecting our mind to practice. And especially one cause that make us unable to practice is laziness. Laziness. When you are lazy, you don't have energy and you don't have enthusiasm for your practice. And the Shantideva was the Bodhicharya Avatara, the way of Bodhisattva, teach, you know, there is laziness called laziness of discouraging oneself or lack of self-confidence. This is, we think that I don't want to do something that beyond my capacity. So I don't think that I can really do any more better than this. I don't feel like practicing right now. Maybe I will do it later. So you see, this is a combination of lethargy and lack of enthusiasm. So when people, practice preliminaries, there are lots of things, right? Visualizations, recitations, accumulations, all of that. Some people think, oh, that's too much. So I can't do it. That's beyond my capacity. I cannot do it. Thinking like this way, you just begin to develop your laziness so that your behavior becomes a great obstruction to being able to practice. I know it's difficult, visualizations, recitations, accumulation, all of this is very new, like, it's not your culture or whatever, but you can do it. You don't have to do that perfectly. There's no perfect, but you just try to practice, as much as you can, rather than, oh, that's too much. You just, that's so first you need to be able to recognize why is that you are not diligent. Why? You figure that out. Don't think like, oh, I'm so lazy. I don't know why. Maybe I should ask my teacher. Don't think that. You should figure out, why are you lazy? Why are you should think, you are capable of practicing fundamentally. You have the ability to accomplish great things. You're very smart. You have the basic goodness. You have a body and a mind that can actually practice the Dharma. You have the ability to speak so you can discuss things and improve your wisdom. You have a body and mind that capable you to do whatever you want. So why are you so lazy? That's obviously big obstacle not to practice Dharma, not your mind go and into the Dharma, towards Dharma. So the time is flying. It goes so quick. Every minute, every hour, every day, every week, we're getting closer and closer to the death. Time goes so quick. You have the opportunity to practice. And you have to find out what you want and who you are. And then there is another laziness called laziness of attachment to negative activities. If you become involved with negative emotions, actions, this creates an obstacle you to practice. You see, people have so many responsibilities in this modern time. And people really don't know how to keep the simple life. People really don't know somehow. There's so many responsibilities. There's so much to do. So it's difficult to practice in these circumstances. So you have to figure that out, how to live normal life, simple way, simple life. And why do you want so many things? Even though you want, you have to figure out, how to keep these things without attachment. Is that possible? Without worry and anxiety. So therefore, I think it's very difficult to practice in this kind of circumstances. That's another obstacle. That's why we're saying this prayer. This prayer will remind you all of that questions that I gave you. Don't ask anybody. Don't ask. You have to ask yourself, is this possible? So I think it's very important to learn how to integrate your practice into your daily activities, because everybody is very busy. There's so many things to do. So therefore, you don't have time for sit and meditate. You don't have that, right? You don't have that time because of the modern, the circumstances. You don't have. So if you don't have that kind of meditation, don't worry that you can, but you have to learn how to bring your meditation, so-called meditation, into your daily activities. You have to know that. You have to do that. That's so important because we don't have time and think and sit and all of that. We don't have that, right? So, but you can do that. You should really also know that contemplating on impermanence has great benefit if you are a lazy person. Contemplating on impermanence diminishes your attachment, right? Because you think, oh, who knows? Maybe I might die tomorrow. Why do I need all of these things? It's just enough right now. So why should I practice? Why should I not practice, right? That impermanence, thinking, contemplating on impermanence brings that. So then it can diminish your attachment. It helps you to realize your life is precious. Your life is so precious. But impermanence, who knows what will happen? It inspires you to further practice and with a diligence. Read the What of My Perfect Teacher, the chapter, the one of the four thoughts that change your mind, the chapter like the impermanence of life. Bapta Rinpoche was a great bodhisattva, although we don't call him His Holiness Bapta Rinpoche, but when he meditated in a cave in Tibet near the Dzogchen monastery, he wrote this What of My Perfect Teacher. And it's gift. So you should read the chapter of the impermanence of life. It's beautiful. This he talks about if you contemplate on impermanence, it has a great benefit, So you see the quality of human life can be developed through practice. And without spiritual practice, I think human life, can be very dangerous, very dangerous. we can harm others, we can destroy each other, we can destroy the country, we can destroy the whole world. Human, without love, without compassion, without bodhicitta, all this human quality, all of these qualities, develop through practice. If you don't practice, if you are lazy, then it could be, very dangerous. So please investigate yourself. Use your wisdom, brain. And now, when we say this prayer, grant your blessings, so that may my mind go into the Dharma. Do you understand? What does that mean? Grant your blessings, so that may my grant your blessings. What does that mean? Grant your blessings. If you don't take your responsibility, but still you will receive blessings, is it possible? Grant your blessings. Who is you? Who's your blessing? So when you say this, at the same time, you are relying on something, but at the same time, you are responsible. You have to remember that. At the same time, when you say grant your blessing, do I have faith, devotion? Not just faith, a devotion, like blind faith and devotion. If you don't have that, don't even say, give me your blessings. If you don't have faith and devotion, how you receive blessings? Faith and devotion, you have to develop that through your practice. So if you have a faith and devotion, then you can say, please grant your blessing, so that my mind go towards Dharma. This is very short, like prayer, right? Short, but it has a great meaning. If you really know exactly, you should think word by word, So when you say when you say grant your blessing, so that my mind go into the Dharma, we have to think and contemplate so-called 4 thoughts that change your mind. That is exactly about this prayer is. That's why you practiced the 4 thoughts, right? The 4 thoughts that change your mind when you begin to practice preliminaries. That's all we do. Especially like people who are practiced under my lineage, and people, I give you this. So important. Every day you think about, contemplate. That's what we call analytical meditation. What is being a human? What is human life? Why is it precious? Why is it impermanent? Why do we have this samsara worries and all of this? Why? Can we go beyond all of this? Then maybe that's you called enlightenment. So benefits of enlightenment. That's 4 thoughts, right? 4 thoughts that change your mind. Anyway, that's all for today. And if maybe we should meditate for 5 minutes. Meditate on impermanence. You might not like this. I don't care. That's just think about it, worldly concerns, and think about impermanence. Oh, this guy bring me to very bad direction. Maybe you might think that, but that's okay. So I would like you to practice on the impermanent today for just 4 or 5 minutes. But before that, you need to turn your mind, your sort of attention to the self-awareness of your mind. Okay? Not this self-grasping that we talked about, but self-awareness of your mind. And then you should try to enter more deeply into the experience of the self-awareness, and then try to relax on that. And your awareness is whatever you are experiencing at that moment, right? And if you want to go further, deeper, then you can think, what is consciousness? What am I? What is this? When, for example, when people say something bad about you, you get hurt. Why am I hurt? You know, and then sometimes you have like think about in the future, I might lose my job, might lose this and that. Think of that, then brings fear, worry. Why am I do that? Anyway, if you want to go deeper, there's so many things you can do, right? So focus your attention on this sort of clear mind as much as you can, as much as you want. So right now it's our conscious, our mind is not clear. How to clean that? And then recognize everything is changing moment by moment. Think about the everything, you know, great teachers, great people. Each of them was born, but each of them died. We just know right now, like we just know only their names, that's all. Same things, think about your family, your parents, your friends, each of them same way. And then same thing, similarly, your life. If you have, for example, if you have a 10 years life, 1 week pass, 1 month pass, 1 year pass, it's getting shorter and shorter. You can see the death of, you know, if you recognize this, what should you do? Do something good for every day. Not, it doesn't matter big or small. Do something good for others. Okay, every day. It has nothing to do with this self-grasping, this image of me or I. Completely let that go and do something good for others completely. It has nothing to do with yourself. If you can do that, that will be meaningful. Every day, every day. If you can do that all the time, but once every day, just completely let go of yourself. Can you do that? Is it possible? You should try. Maybe possible, maybe not, but you should try. So, what do you want to do with this rest of your life? You can see the death of others from all kinds of illness right in front of us. It's said right now, especially right now, like every 2 seconds, one person die. Every 2 seconds. Can you believe that? That's just only COVID from COVID-19, not the other illness, of course, but just only that. Why that not you? It's possible. So what do you want to do with the rest of your life? And then if you found something that you want to do, you should go with it. Don't be lazy. So focus on these things, okay? Alternately between looking at your awareness, that's what we call resting meditation, and then thinking about impermanence, that's what we call analytical meditation. If you could do this, go back and forth. If you do this meditation, then you sort of perceive all the objects without grasping and without attachment. And by doing that over and over again, your meditation practice begins to turn your mind directly toward Dharma. That's how we do. That's the blessing. That's all about this first prayer, this the line, the first, the four dharmas of Gamboba, this prayer, that's all. That's how you just say the prayer. It doesn't, it takes your mind directly towards Dharma. But if you practice like what I said, this over and over again, and then you slowly turns your mind towards Dharma. That's what this meaning, the meaning of this prayer. So let's meditate on that for 5 minutes, please.